Humphries throws one last pass, and he throws it away out of the end zone. Sanders caught it, but out of bounds, so it's not an interception. But Super Bowl 29 has come to a completion. The San Francisco 49ers are the first team in the 75th year of the National Football League to win 5 Super Bowl championships. That's the end of tonight's game here in Miami. The final score, San Francisco 49, San Diego 26.
Oh, man, 30 years in the blink of an eye. And little did Steve Young know that he was walking into an 80s Friday. You want to talk about 1983, baby. Marvin Gaye laying it down. We've had so many other hits through the morning. Never Gonna Give You Up, Rick Astley. Sledgehammer, Peter Gabriel. Together by Tierra. Foolin' by Def Leppard. Lots of good stuff, but the best stuff we save for last. Here he is, number 8. Youngster.
Oh, nice. That's I can't. That is a great introduction. All you need is the Reverend Al Green, and we'd have it all.
Well, that would be on a 70s Friday.
I know. I good call. But you said Marvin Gaye, so I was like, look, you got to get the Reverend up there. But yeah, I got you.
Well, Steve, you're at BYU, and I imagine this song was banned on the BYU campus.
Jim McMahon was rolling through BYU. Everything was fine. Like, bro, come on.
You know what, dude? Your Jim McMahon stories, I don't know how many you can tell on the radio, but can you share? I mean,
the wildest stuff I ever saw in my whole life.
Yeah, honestly.
Was in Provo, Utah with Jim McMahon. Wildest, by far.
And you've been in the NFL for all those years around.
I've been around a long time. I'm telling you, the wildest stuff I ever saw. The dude was, but you know what? The funny thing about him was he was such a classic quarterback. Like his drop, throw, read, like he was as good as anybody. And that's the funny thing about his personality is he's a crazy personality, but his football was rock solid. Like, so, you know, it's too bad he went to the Bears because then he just got killed. But he could have, I mean, he got in a West Coast offense. That dude he had 70 NCAA records. He was something else.
How can one franchise kill? Of course, it makes no sense because coaches change. Supporting cast changes, but one thing doesn't change. Bears quarterbacks go to die.
And it's just, it's a defensive philosophy. Like, you know, think about the difference between offense and defense. Defense is scarcity, you know. Offense is abundance, right? So a different way to look at the world, the way of life. It doesn't mean it's bad or good. It's just, and so the Bears they're still in scarcity. Yeah. And the game has changed so much. You guys we've talked about this 5,000 times, but because the rule changes, it's a game of abundance. Like, your defense needs to be good as it can be, but they're ripping at them every year with new rules that don't allow them to do the job, and they're always playing from behind, and so defense is not leading the way. And so if your franchise leads with that, then they really are archaic and old.
Yeah, and Steve, we're also talking about a Bears franchise that drafted Mitch Trubisky ahead of Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, but we can do that with anybody. Like, we can do that with anybody. Do it with Steph Curry. Do it with LeBron. Do it with Michael Jordan. Like, who passed on Michael Jordan? You know what I mean? Like, that stuff happens. But it doesn't change the fact that it's true about in Chicago. It has been a place for quarterbacks to die.
Steve, it's just great to have you, buddy. Great to have you.
Yeah, you're
Steve,
great. Thanks to have you. It's good to be with you.
I know you're the best. And sorry we weren't down at Pebble, man.
Oh, man.
Darryl, I'm going to say my second controversial thing of the morning because I put Ricky Waters in a tough spot earlier today. I'll have to tell you about that. But they killed the clam bake, man. And I know Steve John's my guy and everything, but I think it was out of his hands, the PGA Tour. I mean, we used to have so much fun down there with
yeah, but there's still. I was down, and
I know you played.
You know, it's still the Peninsula Foundation. They're still doing good. They're still doing they really are doing good.
I'm the bad guy.
It's just smaller. It's not as core, but it's not. It's just it's still there's still a feel. I'm telling you, there's a feel down there, and it's a smaller group, and I get all that, and it's not as exposed. And
you're saying the right stuff because you're a polite guy. You're a pro.
No, I'm not. I'm not telling you. I was down.
I know,
but it's not.
Dude.
Look, it's not the whole tournament, right? I think that's what your point is. It used to be the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's just, it's not.
Anyway,
so,
by the way.
All right.
Sorry to step on you, Steve. I do that a lot.
No, go ahead.
I put Ricky in an awkward spot at the end of our hit. Ricky was great. He was gushing about you, dude. Gushing about you.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
And then I said, Ricky, it's just gnawing at me. It's got to come out of my mouth. I said, should you have stayed, Ricky? Should you have stayed?
What's that? That's not wrong.
Okay.
That's a good. He knows how I feel about it.
Okay,
You know.
then.
I mean, we had the Super Bowl in '94, and then we should have had more. And I feel I'm mostly responsible for that. But letting Ricky go was what put us in a real jam. It was a big, huge mistake. And Ricky, what did he say? By the way.
He said they didn't take care of me. They took it out of
Yeah.
my hands. He goes,
Yeah.
they should have taken care of me during the regular season. They should have taken care of me before the Super Bowl. I was there, Steve. I was covering the team. You guys weren't happy.
I agree with that, and I think it was hubris and foolishness that we'll always regret. And
Yeah.
I've told Ricky that 1,000 times. It was a huge mistake. And two of the biggest mistakes the 49ers ever made was Charles Haley and Ricky Watters.
Yeah,
So,
that's it. Yeah, great call. Drop the mic on that.
Yeah, and Steve, we actually did talk to Ricky a lot about that 1994 Super Bowl and the fact that we just passed the 30th anniversary of that title
Crazy.
game. And it's got to be crazy for you to think about that, the fact that the 49ers are in this 30-year drought without hoisting another Lombardi trophy.
now that is crazy and absolutely nutty. Never would have thought, especially with being there 3 more times. And it was like, it's not like we haven't been there, and we've been there with leads, so it's painful. It is a painful thought, especially the last one. I don't know why I can't get the last one out of my mind either. So we just got to keep grinding, and I'm with the 49ers. I'm with John. I'm with Kyle. I'm with the guys. Like I know it's been a long time, but I don't feel less connected and kind of wholly a part of what they're trying to do. I can't do much about it, but I can cheer them on and really and hold them, accountable too. Like we gotta things are hard right now. The league is getting better. Our tactical advantages. We had a great tactical advantage for 4 or 5 years where people just weren't up to speed, and now everyone's getting up to speed offensively, and the innovators are coming out of the woodwork. And so it's like things are getting harder. We're going to sharpen our saw.
Yeah, you said it in the afternoon. Steve has to, or Kyle has to go reinvent himself. You said it, and it was a good
Well,
quote.
I
Yeah.
think that's why we're going to talk about the Super Bowl here. That's what Andy Reid and Kyle and Sean McVay and Sean Payton, who I call the Big Four, who saw the changes in the rules and then took advantage of it, and really as a tactical advantage, like the West Coast offense did for 15 years, or really for 12 years until they gave it. Mike Holmgren took it to Green Bay, and then you had competition. But they had that, and so reinventing yourself is really kind of part of the. It's not like this is a singular moment when you got to reinvent yourself. You've been doing it kind of really effectively for a number of years. It's just that now that they've, in the spirit of abundance, all 4 of them have been handing it to assistants to go be great, and now there's 15 of them, right? There's now almost 20 of them. And so they're continuing to innovate off of what they were doing 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. So that's just the natural process of who you're going to be. If you're going to be great into the future, and you've been great in the past, you've got to reinvent yourself, and that's no new. And that Andy Reid's going to have to do it for the Super Bowl, and he's done a great job of continually doing that.
Yeah, and then looking ahead to that Super Bowl matchup, you mentioned it. It's the Kansas City Chiefs once again. And we just got done talking about how hard it is to make it to the Super Bowl. Well, Patrick Mahomes has been in the AFC Championship game every single year that he started in the NFL. And now he's looking for his 4th Super Bowl title, all before he's even aged 30 years old, Steve. So simply, why is it so much easier for Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes than everybody else around the league?
Because this is what it hit me after the championship game. And I watched the Bills, and I watched closely the whole season because, like, okay, who's going to challenge? Who's going to make this happen? You saw these, and the Chiefs everyone just hangs around, and they take them down every time. And Andy Reid we have to just stop for a minute and recognize that when you talk about offensive minds and people reinventing themselves, and 67-year-old guy that just figures out new and innovative ways to do things, and then never shrinks in the moment. Every time they need a big play, I mean every time, he's got something in his pocket. He's got something that's going to expand and is going to create an oddity for the defense, and something pops. Now, Patrick does a amazing job of creating his own space in those plays where he's with his legs, where Andy's not calling that play. He's doing it himself. So that together between what's in his pocket all the time as an innovative mind, and he asks his team, look, every week we're going to do some new stuff. We're going to keep you fresh. We're gonna and then these plays where I saw the Bills in the championship game. There was 5 or 6, 7 vital plays, and I could feel the offensive coordinator not have something in his pocket. Like it's like I got nothing. Just to do something. Just sneak it. Just dive, jump.
Don't look at me.
Jump, something. And you could feel it that they just ran out. And I think and people say, "Oh, it's Josh Allen." It's like, it's so much of this, the tip of the spear kind of football in the playoff moments in January and February are really around those innovative offensive minds, and who can call it, who can have them in their pocket, who can call them, when it's the moment. It's like, who can bring them out at the right time. And you think about the Chiefs, like think about Super Bowls, think about championship games, go back there in the regular season and just pick those key moments. It's Matt Patrick doing something unique and Andy bringing something unique constantly, and the two of them are unbeatable.
Such a great answer. And people don't know, if you know your Steve history, you and Andy, way back, right?
Way back.
And I wondered,
How about that? My JV coach, he was this graduate assistant. He'd been at BYU, and then he was the graduate assistant.
We're talking, Steve, what,
under Lavelle? 82.
Okay. So that we're talking over 40 years.
Yeah, and he's you remember, it was, we go back to Bill Walsh, and the way Bill thought about the world was, whatever I have, I want to give to you. He gave it to Mike Holmgren. And Mike Holmgren came back and competed against him. And Bill he knew that Mike would come back and compete against him but he said it would sharpen my side. It'll make us better. It'll make me better. And then obviously Mike Shanahan left with it all. And then Hank came back and competed. And so it's like what Bill had, he gave away. And so everyone else since then has done the same, including, remember, it was Mike Holmgren goes to Green Bay. Who's his first hire from being at BYU? Remember, Mike Holmgren was with me at BYU. He hired Andy Reid. And Andy Reid then went to Philadelphia, and then the story about his coaching tree, all in the spirit of abundance, giving it to everyone he can to help them be successful. And Andy says the same thing. You guys will go compete against me, and I'll sharpen my saw. So it's the spirit. It really goes back to the spirit of Bill Walsh.
Man, at this point now, the Eagles don't have a chance. I mean, I'm like so sold
on
Reid and Mahomes.
The only way the Eagles have a chance is in an old school way, in my mind. And old school football, I thought, is dead. Is that you can't bring a running game and a defense to the Super Bowl and win it? There's no way. The days are over. But I will say that there are innovative running games. The Ravens have brought an innovative running game, most sophisticated running game in history for the last 10 years, but they can't get all the way there. But I think the Eagles, to me, the only way they win is if they run the Chiefs out of the building. And I guess it's possible in today's. I mean, they've been doing it, and they did it against the Commanders. And so, but I just think that the defense for the Chiefs is elevated. People don't give them enough credit, and nobody's going to run the Chiefs out of the building. And because of that, they'll figure it out.
Man, I love it, Steve. I know a few more minutes. Steve Young, so nice to join us, and it's just great talking ball and history.
I love it.
And Marvin Gaye and Al Green. But just a little bit about the three-peat. We had Ronnie on this morning. He was great. Ronnie was really good. And
good.
We said, okay, Ronnie, there's the personal side. There's like the petty side. No, we were so close and it slipped away.
Yeah.
I don't want you to do it. That's Ronnie called it, that's the salty side of the brain. And then there's the Ronnie, you talk about spirit of abundance and Bill giving things. Ronnie was like, no, I ultimately, he goes, 20 years ago, I might have been different. He goes, but now I want to see greatness. It's not like he's rooting for it, but he said, I want to allow Mahomes to chase the greatness and the spirit of the game. What about you, Steve? You were in the middle of all that. Salty or greatness?
Remember when Ronnie got in it with Phil?
Yes.
And I asked him what was the deal about Ronnie? What was the beef? He goes, he doesn't understand the sacred nature of competition. He's the one that taught me that, look, if it's just winning and losing, I'm out. I want to be able to, if I'm going to lose, I want to learn. I want to have the space. I want to have the grace to go get better. And if someone's disrespecting the competition, disrespecting each other, it steals from it. And so I think that he's the one who taught me about that. And so the grace that he's showing the Chiefs is really saying, hey, look, how good can you get? How amazing can you build off? And look, anyone in the future builds off the past. builds off the success in the amazing nature of everyone before them. And so you don't need to cheer against them. You gotta say to yourself, look, if you can do that, man, we were close, so close, and it's painful to think about not getting there. But if the Chiefs can do it, and see how, it's an amazing thing. That they're going to say 4. They'll win on Sunday and go, okay, let's do 4. Unheard of, right? Yeah. And I just, you can't. I think Ronnie Lott is the one who taught me that you want people to see how good they can get.
Mm.
Yeah, but Steve, I feel like the toughest part about all this, though, if the Chiefs pull off the three-peat, they'll also tie the 49ers with 5 Super Bowl titles.
Yeah. So we got to go. We got to sharpen our saw, bro. We got to go.
Get going.
You don't want to sit. You don't want to. Honestly, you're thinking like a defensive football player. Like let's a zero-sum game. Let's shrink here. No one get me. No one catch me. I'm just gonna stand here and wallow, and hopefully nobody finds me. Like, no, bro, we gotta go.
Yeah, I love
we gotta make our space. We gotta make it. And let's go take it. We got to do it.
Spirit of abundance. I'll end it with this one because I knew you'd like this. Martin Scorsese's documentary on Bob Dylan, No Direction Home. He interviewed Liam Clancy, this great Irish folk singer who mentored Dylan in Greenwich Village in 1958-59. When everybody was all jostling for fame and glory in the songs. And Liam Clancy says, I told Bob, if you're going to do this, no fear, no envy, no meanness. And I was like, whoa. And that's
you know what? Honestly, think about the Chiefs right now. Think about Patrick, how he looks at the world, and how Andy looks at the world. They kind of feel the same way.
Yeah.
Right? Like no envy. Like if we get beat, we get beat. Shake their hand. Yeah. They're amazing. Like they're not. I know they're hard to like right now because they've been so successful. But if you boil down who they are as people, they're both kind of just fun-loving, open, vulnerable, pretty humble dudes. So, if you know them personally, you kind of want to cheer for them in some ways.
So you're just, we're witnessing something special. We are for sure. And that's the beauty of sports. We get to see that, man. So in the end, bottom line then, Sports Talk Radio, you're taking the Chiefs.
Yeah, I look, there's a fear of me. There's a fear of the past in me. Like, is this really true that you can do this old school way? Like, I thought there was no chance that you could do it old school. Like when Derrick Henry went to the Ravens, I'm like, no, bro, those days are over. Like, quit trying to recreate the wheel. Like, you're not gonna be able to just run your way, play great defense, and win a Super Bowl. It's not gonna happen. And I don't know, it's close to proving me wrong on that one. So I have some fear about it. But I think the Chiefs, I think abundance wins.
That's why they play the games. You're the best, man. Go do it, 8. We love you.
Yeah,
be good.
Thanks, Steve.
All right. Hey, you guys are the best. Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Steve Young on The Sports Leader.